And that is week 4 for the Green Bay Packers in the National Football League. A beating by the Lions from Detroit, 34-20. And that score is very misleading. Just like the total yards for this game, 401 for the Lions to our 230. That's right. That's total yards for the game, not just a half. 230 for the Packers. And most of that 230 came in the fourth quarter when the Lions already had this game won, so they're playing lax defense. This was the Packers that unfortunately we're getting more and more used to. It was just a couple weeks ago, week 2, that we had a complete and total team collapse in the fourth quarter. The whole team, unacceptably, somehow collapsed at the same time to lose that game. And then the very next week, last week, week 3 against the Saints, 3 consecutive quarters in a row, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, we didn't even show up to play football. So the collapse in quarter 4 in week 2 leads right into week 3 against the Saints, 1, 2, and 3. 4 complete quarters consecutively, we didn't show up. And in the fourth quarter of last week, when we came back to win that game, don't forget the opposing quarterback got injured and left the game. All of a sudden, we came back to life, but just for that one quarter. Because here we are tonight, and the whole first half, again, we don't show up to play football. I don't know what they showed up to play tonight. A game of Twister? A little bit of Monopoly? Did they show up to Lambeau Field for a cartwheel contest? Hot dog eating contest? Did they show up to Lambeau Field to audition for the band? Because it sure as hell wasn't to play football. This was the most miserable half of Green Bay Packer football I've ever seen. The second half, they showed signs of life 2 times that I can recall. 2 times. We're going to go over in this review. Quarter by quarter. We're going to dissect this game. I'm going to show you how bad the Packers were tonight because the score does not do it justice, 34-20. That sounds a lot sexier than the game actually was for the Packers because it was anything but. A miserable first half and a little bit better of a second half. And by little, I'm being extremely generous. When you hold the ball for 22 minutes in this game and your opponent holds it for 38 minutes, that's not good. 38-22. Over 400 yards of total offense to your 230. And again, most of that coming in the fourth quarter from lax defense. You could take losses if you've been watching football, especially if you're a Packer fan, and you've been watching for decades like BC, or just a few years if you're a younger fan. By now, you're able to take losses, right? The ones that are heartbreakers, like by 2 or 3 points, by a field goal in the last seconds, right? Or a run back from special teams out of nowhere. Or those beatings that you take. You just lost by 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. Just a whooping. But then there's losses where every area in the game of football went unchecked. It looks like they didn't show up to play the game from the jump. They're showing no signs of life. There's no pulse. There's no toughness. There's no grit. It seems like they're checked out. They're already thinking, hey, we got over a week off after this game. There's those losses where you'd honestly believe if you put in the band, put in some damn cheerleaders, it'd probably be a more entertaining game. And wildly, it would probably be more competitive. Those type of games where you're questioning the heart and the drive of the team. those are the hard ones because you don't want to do that to your team. You love your team. You want the best for them. You want to say good things about your team. When it's that bad, you know there's an issue. This was a really bad loss because this was a really bad performance. This was the Packers versus the Lions, Week 4. This is your no BS, no sugar-coated, completely amplified Packers review for Week 4. An ass-whooping for the ages at the hands of Detroit. We're not going to sugarcoat this, man. We're going to talk about each quarter because it needs to be discussed and it needs to be rectified. I'm going to get a huge swig of coffee and we're going to jump right into it, starting from the beginning, quarter 1. Let's get amplified. Now we start from the jump, the first half. You may want to grab another coffee or whatever it is you're drinking, probably something a lot stronger. Because I assure you, this is one of the most miserable halves. Check that. The most miserable half of football I've ever seen a Green Bay Packer team play. It was that bad. And I have viewed over 3 decades of Packer football. Now, from the jump, the Lions start this game with the ball. We stuff them 2 straight, and on 3rd down, Goff throws an interception to number 20, Ford. So right from the jump, an interception in Lions territory. Even better, excellent field position at the Lions 16. Doesn't get any better than that. From the jump, you're thinking maybe this is going to be one of those games where this team just gets pounded by GBP. Well, it was going to be one of those games. One of those 2 teams was about to be pounded, but it was not the Lions. Because while we got that ball at that 16, while once again the defense showed up big right from the jump, our offense, they didn't show up at all. We got the ball at the 16 through that interception, and we never got past the 16. Not a single yard of offense, incomplete pass on 1st down, a 9-yard sack on 2nd down, and then a 9-yard reception on 3rd. The completion and the sack canceled one another out. And we ended up with a chip shot field goal. 3-0. And it's a blessing that we walked away with 3, because if our defense didn't set us up at the 16, we'd be walking away with nada. That's how lifeless this team truly was. Right? You got a different feel. It wasn't just, it's just one of those possessions where they just couldn't push the ball. It's one of those possessions where you go 3 and out. No big deal. No harm, no foul. You take the 3. No, there was something different. Packers fans, you know what I'm talking about. Something was not right with this team. The offense out of sync. Like they didn't even show up to play. It was not a good sign of things to come. So that's why I say this was a blessing that we were at the 16 thanks to our defense, so we could even get 3 points. I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler. When the first half was all said and done, we didn't have any more than 3 points. So that coincides with the way that I reviewed that first drive for the Packers, which was non-existent. The 3 points you can thank the defense on. And that was all of our scoring in the first half. Those are the situations you have to capitalize with 7. Because they'll bite you in the ass if you don't. And sure enough, the very next Lions possession, they punched it in for 7. Quick, too. Quick touchdown. They were like, damn, we gave you a gift, and you threw it right back in our face. All right. And they said game on, 7-3 with the quickness. Packers' very next possession, no lie, was one of the worst 3-and-outs I've ever witnessed. That's not being over dramatic. That's not exaggerating just a tad or a lot. That's not over embellishing. It was the most miserable 3-and-out I've ever witnessed. Love takes another 9-yard sack, and then 2 back-to-back miserably awful incompletions. So far at this point, this is Jordan Love at his worst. We've seen glimpses of this type of Jordan Love in the past. This is why we all had reservations on this dude. You say he's a mixed bag. We've seen him at his worst, or at least that's what we had thought in the past. This was a whole new level of worst, and you were hoping it can't get any worse than worse. I mean miserable incompletions back to back right after his second 9-yard sack of the game. Mind you, it's only our second possession at this point. Then we get back-to-back penalties, by the way, on that same possession. So you're thinking, wait, well, BC, you just said it was a 3-and-out. Their second 3-and-out. How can you get back-to-back penalties? It was just a 3-and-out. Well, on that third down, we had a holding. So you take the 10 yards there. Then when we're just trying to give them the ball back, we're trying to punt the ball. We're just trying to get rid of the ball because we don't know what we're doing with it. And on the punt, we somehow have an offsides. Back to back with the 10-yard holding penalty. And all of a sudden, we're going backwards. We're trying to give them the ball and we're going backwards. So to go with the most miserable 3-and-out I've ever seen, add in a couple of penalty yards as well. Awesome. Lions then beat the crap out of our offense, or defense. Our offense was beating the crap out of ourselves. The Lions beat the crap out of our defense up next, and they punch in another 7 with the quickness. Now I'm like, this could be an absolute ass beating to our Packers. At this point, it is 14-3, and the Lions are showing the utmost badassery, athleticism, toughness. They're out to prove a point. They want to outclass us in every area of the game of football. It's clear, and we can't even match them one iota. Not one play, not one action, not one move. We can't match them. We can't keep up. It looks like we're not even in their league, and this is Packer football. This is the Packers we're talking about. And it looks like we are a little league team, like we're the Bad News Bears compared to this team, and it's the Lions. Come on. Absolutely unacceptable. Through every measure, through the most amplified of means, this is the most unacceptable football I've ever witnessed from a team that put on that G. 14-3. Next Packers possession, another miserably awful 3-and-out. A.J. Dillon runs for peanuts, and then a grossly overthrown ball to Romeo Doubs on third down. Punt. And it's right back to the Lions to end the first quarter. Doubs was right there in the middle. It was like a full 2 yards over his head. I don't know if Jordan Love thought he was going to the Monopoly playoffs, if he was going to a game of Dungeons and Dragons, maybe some Yahtzee, maybe a game of Twister with some friends, but he did not show up for a football game, I assure you. Quarter 2, the Lions add a field goal to start the quarter, literally like first 20, 30 seconds, tack on another 3. Now it's 17-3. The very next Packers possession on our very first down, Love throws an interception. Can't make it up. This is all right from the jump of Q2. Right from the jump. The Lions get the field goal, and then Love on the very next play throws an interception. The ball is right back to Detroit. Lions ball at the 9-yard line of all places, by the way. 9-yard line. And unlike the Packers, who got the ball at the 16, threw an interception earlier, and they only walked away with 3, the Lions said, nah. It only took 2 plays once they got that interception from Love. 2 plays, and the Detroit literally walked in for another 7. Touchdown. And with 13-19 still to play in the second quarter, it's 24-3 Detroit. Yeah, WTF with several exclamation points at this point, man. No BS. I'm thinking Dolphins 70 points at this point. I truly am. I know it's 24-3, but I can't help but think the way that we are playing or not playing. I mean, there's been games where I said we didn't show up to play a game of football, but this is like no signs of life at all. They were lifeless. There was no emotion. There was no urgency. The lights were on, but nobody was home. And I mean nobody. It was a very odd Packer team that we were witnessing, man. And it's 24-3 at this point, right at the top of the second quarter, guys. It's not even like it's near the end of the game. Just end this game 24-3. I'm thinking Dolphins 70 points at this point. That's how bad we looked, and that's how good they looked. Next Packers drive, you know it. 3 and out. Love almost picked off on 3rd and 7. Nearly picked off yet again. Audible boos are now raining down from the stands to the field. And we're not that far into the second quarter. And already the boos from the stands to the field, and you can hear them. Somehow, via a flat-out miracle, we were able to stop Detroit and force a punt. I don't know how it happened. I don't. But we got a punt off of them. We'll take it. Unacceptably, rookie number 11, Jayden Reed, tries to pick up a bouncing ball, and he fumbles it. And he saw it. He thought better at first. He let the ball roll because it's too dangerous to if you've ever played the game of football, especially if you happen to have been on special teams like BC. It's Pee Wee 101. If the ball's going backwards in a bouncing spiral like that, just get away from it. Because if you just touch it, the other team has a great chance of picking that up and scoring, or at least having great field position, and his team's going to be on offense, not yours. Stay away from the ball. If it's bouncing backwards, stay away. I don't care if it floats to the 1-yard line or the 1-inch line. And Jayden Reed knew that. He let it go. And then he's like, well, it's kind of close to me. And he goes for it with 5 Detroit Lion players right around him. Sure enough, he fumbles it. And then the next 2 Packer players that are around it fumble it. Thankfully, somehow, by a flat-out miracle, it did not land into a Lion's hands. It landed into a Packer's hands, and it was not Jayden Reed, by the way. That better be rectified quickly. ASAP. That is unacceptable. To pick up a bouncing ball and fumble it like that going backwards. It nearly gave Detroit the ball at our 10-yard line. That's the bigger issue. It's not like it's the 40, you're around midfield. No, this would have been the 10-yard line and another easy 7 for Detroit. Thankfully, we somehow come up with it. Again, it wasn't Reed, though. So, tells you all you need to know. We actually get a first down finally. That's another shocker. We got a first down only because of a neutral zone infraction against Detroit. So it's not even the fact that we earned it. Detroit had to give us a first down. Then Love gets sacked for a 12-yard loss, and then 2 incomplete passes. So typical Green Bay possessions the whole first half. Another sack to Jordan Love, 2 more miserably awful incompletions. And with 6 minutes left in the second quarter, the Green Bay Packers had minus -1 yard of offense. Please think of that. What I just said. With 6 minutes left in the second quarter, the Packers had negative. Yeah. -1 yard of offense. I had to make sure that I wasn't mistaken. That's how bad that is. Negative yard of offense with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. The Lions then tack on another 3 points off a field goal, and at this point it's 27-3. The Packers' last drive of the first half, Love is sacked and embarrassed. We even screw up a Hail Mary. Somehow we screwed up. We're at the 50-yard line. There's 3 seconds. All you got to do is just heave it in the air. Somebody will get it. Even if it lands in the Detroit Lions player hands, just throw it. At least you made a completion to somebody. But just get the ball. The guy's got like 87 sacks at this point. Just get the ball out of your hands. No. Even on a Hail Mary, Love is getting sacked for another 12-yard loss. And yeah, you say, well, BC, Detroit did blitz them on that Hail Mary. Usually you don't see that. Usually they'll hang back because what are the chances? No, I don't blame Detroit at all. We played that bad that they smelled blood in the water and they decided to say, screw it. Why give them anything? Not even a chance. They haven't earned our respect in this game so far. They haven't earned us to give them the benefit of a chance. They didn't fear at all the Green Bay Packers, so they just went for a blitz on a Hail Mary. That's leaving a lot of field open. And you know what? It paid off. Love didn't know what to do. Our line didn't know what to do. What I do know is Bakhtiari better get his ass back onto a field of play. Enough is enough. And we're not even getting details on this dude. When I can play, I can play. It's starting to become miserable at this point. Get your ass on the field. Line didn't know what to do. Love didn't know what to do. So they all just fall down like dominoes. And that's how the first half ends. Boos that I've never heard. As a Green Bay Packer fan, boos I've never heard rain down from Lambeau Field. I've never heard that loud, that echoing of a boo. As the Packers went down into the tunnel, those boos were more than fierce. Let's put it that way. And they were well earned by the Packers. They earned every one of those boos. And if you're a Packer fan that doesn't like that, that's not the way to show your displeasure. You don't boo the players. BS. Knock it off. Knock it off. This team earned each and every one of those boos. You do not show up to an NFL football game with that type of play. That is not a team. That's not even Pee-wee. That's not even Bad News Bears. I don't know what that was. That was pathetic. I'd believe that if you told me that was the chess team that showed up. If you told me that was the championship team in the Rummikub series, okay, yeah, that's what they do. They switch over the cube, the Rummikub, right? Who could do it the fastest, and you assemble a team. There's real teams like that, you know? It's a real thing. If you told me the Rummikub team showed up to take on the Lions and this was the result, 27-3 at the half, I'd believe it. But the Packers from Green Bay, the NFL team? No. This wasn't the Packers. I don't know what this was. What I do know is in the second half, they better rectify all of these mistakes. At this point, it's not even about winning the game. That's long been past. It's about acting, looking like, being a real football team in the NFL. Because this was an embarrassment. If you're wondering, it's embarrassing to say these stats. If you're wondering, our total offense in the first half of football, 20 yards. No, 20 yards was our total offense in the first half. That's what I mean. I've never heard of anything like this, ever. We had 3 first downs somehow. 2 of the 3 was because the Lions gave us it on penalties. If they didn't do that, we recorded 1 first down in the whole half. No, that's not being negative. That's not being too harsh. That's not being harsh enough. Swig of coffee, we'll talk about the second half. We come back onto Lambeau Field for the second half with a pulse. We start Q3 showing signs of life. We start the second half Q3 resembling an actual football team in the NFL. What a concept. An 85-yard drive takes us to the 2-yard line where Love connects with Watson. 2-yard touchdown pass. Now, if you would have asked BC after seeing that dreadful first half, if we'd even score a touchdown in the entire game, I would have said you done fallen on your dome piece a couple 2-3 times too many as a kid. No way. So to score a touchdown that quick at the top of the third quarter and a 2-point conversion to boot, successful. Second week in a row. Consecutive 2-point conversion attempts, successful. I mean, that's pretty ballsy by Coach LaFleur. Doesn't even really give it much thought. He's just like, get out there, get the job done, 2-point conversion. And they greatly changed the the feel of a game. In fact, at that point, it's 27-11. If you were just tuning into the game, especially if you're a Packers fan and you just tuned into the game, start of the third quarter, you're down, but you believe it's a close game, right? 27-11. Okay, it's basically 3 possessions, but 2 more 8-pointers and you have a tied game. So you can make it a 2-point or a 2-possession game. You'd have to get 2 touchdowns and 2-point conversions. But the point is, the game's not out of reach. It's 27-11 if you were just watching the game at that point. Unlike the rest of us that are sporting G's and we watched that dreadful first half, you know that that score is misleading. You might want to let this continue to play out because it's not a close game. But that 2-point conversion, it definitely makes it feel a little different, right? Either way, beggars can't be choosers. We needed something big at the start of the third quarter if we were going to do anything. I don't know many people that thought we were going to come back and win, but at least show that signs of life, show the pulse, show you're an actual football team in the NFL that belongs. Especially if you're on Lambeau Field. Home territory, act like it. Good way to start the quarter. Lions then go 3 and out. I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying at that point you're thinking, right? You're not expecting, you're not thinking, there's no way, it's impossible, but the way we started the third quarter and then the Lions go 3 and out, you're thinking, what if? Packers then go 3 and out. You're quickly brought back to reality and you're reminded who's playing on that field. It's the Green Bay Packers. You'd expect a 3 and out, right? The magic quickly died off after that touchdown and 2-point conversion. Immediately, we're right back to 3 and out. Love had a backwards pass that lost 13 yards. Please think of that. Think about that. A backwards pass. He can't connect with anything in front of him, so he might as well try behind him, and even then he loses yards too. So he took a play off from getting sacked because the whole night he was getting sacked. But he said, if I'm going to lose 13 yards, why even take a hit? He throws backwards and loses 13 yards. And then grossly overthrows a 20-yard pass by a solid 5 yards. Easily 5 yards over the dude's head. I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Dobbs, possibly Reed. Don't believe it was Watson. 5 yards over the dome piece, not even close. I mean, he's throwing it backwards 13 yards away from anybody. He's throwing it 5 yards over anybody's dome piece in front of him. The ball's all over the place. Accuracy is not Jordan Love's strong suit. Three and out. And again, it wasn't the way we were doing these 3 and outs the whole game. It was the way how miserable they were. I mean, these were horrible 3 and outs. Like reckless, unacceptable, negligent. Thankfully, the Lions once again get nothing. 2 possessions in a row, the Lions did nothing, and we did not capitalize on several of these. So they punt. Now, this one, unlike the last 3 and out, this one, we were able to at least drive. We wasted too much time, and quarter 3 actually comes to an end. So, you know, it's obviously, it's one of those things where every second matters if you're going to even try to make a comeback like 27-3 at halftime. And you start promising at the third quarter with 27-11, but you need every second. And this drive took so long, before you know it, you're switching sides of the field. It's the fourth quarter. Packers score a TD. Just like the third quarter, Packers scored a quick TD at the jump of the fourth quarter. Love just runs it in. And it was beautiful. It was just, I don't know if that was the play call or not, or he just saw something, but it was decisiveness. Go back and watch this play. He drops back 2-3 yards, and he just says, screw it, I'm out. Boom. Just catapults forward. Nobody's touching him. It was decisive. When Love is decisive, he's damn good. When he panics, when he's indecisive, when he hesitates, Love gets himself into trouble. This was decisiveness, and because of that, easy score. And it was easy. He walked in, I believe, untouched. Another which should have been 7 points, but Coach LaFleur got a little too greedy, and he went for 3 2-point conversions in a row. One from last week, one earlier in the third quarter, and now he was going to go for another 2-point conversion. And this time, it failed. Love gave it his all, though. It was another run-in. Love tried to run it in, and he lowered his shoulder. He took the hit. He tried to hit. He did everything he could in that small frame of his to get into that end zone. But those Lions, they ain't small. And they annihilated this poor kid. And he got crushed. So we were only able, that touchdown only netted us 6 points because it was a failed 2-point conversion. So when that was all said and done, 27-17 is your score. We stopped the Lions in the red zone and forced them to settle for a field goal. So at this point, we go to commercial, it's 30-17. Still not good, but 2-possession game. However, when we come back, we find out there was a penalty. Turns out number 7, our leader on the defense, Quay Walker, he had a personal foul. He leaped over both teams, and you're not allowed to do that, obviously. You cannot clear the teams leaping over them. Even kicked a dude on the way over, I believe. Otherwise, he would have completely cleared them. So he kicked the dude. So that made it pretty obvious, and he gets a personal foul. That's not on the kickoff. That gives Detroit a whole new fresh set of downs. A fresh set of downs. So it's first down in the red zone, goal line. So we took what could have been just giving them 3 points, and I believe it was a play or two later, correct? A couple of plays, yeah. It was actually, we got them to 4th down on that drive. Once they got the ball back off of our personal foul, we took them to a 4th and maybe 1, 4th and 2, and they just ran it right up the middle, catapult, dive bomb style. Scored 7 points. Detroit punches it in, and it's 34-17. So even when we hold them to 3 points, we find a way to beat up ourselves. We say, no, why take 3 when we'll give you 7? And any momentum that the Packers were trying to muster, and again, the score was misleading. We had a good power-packed punch at the start of the third quarter, and then a good power-packed punch at the start of the fourth quarter. Those were the only 2 times we did anything the whole game. 34-17, another example of beating ourselves. Massive penalty by Quay Walker. The Pack's next possession, we get to the red zone, but Love is intercepted again, and that seals the game. A little bit later on, due to a laid-back defense, obviously, just playing not to let them score any TDs or anything big. So with a laxed defense, the Pack is able to get a field goal. I call these give-me's. 34-20 at that point in favor of Detroit. And the game ends with Detroit's in scoring position, but they show pity on us. Mercy! They do not score again. They feel bad for us. They pat us on the head, and they call it a night. And it ends 34-20. That's why I say the score is misleading. We got our asses beat in this game. The first half was dreadful to the point where I will easily say that was the worst half of football I've ever seen the Packers play. You can come up with statistical games that were probably worse, or just really bad plays consecutively or sequences consecutively. But I've watched every single game for decades, and I gotta tell you, I never had a feeling like that. Like a team literally does not belong in the NFL, that like we're an embarrassment. Like the Bad News Bears would be a better option to put out there on Lambeau Field. It would be more entertaining. They put up more of a fight. It was that bad in the first half. A pulse and some, and I use that very graciously, man. Some. I'm being generous. Signs of life. Couple of times in the second half, right? Start of the third, start of the fourth. Other than that, I don't even want to go over the stats, guys. I couldn't even tell you what Love had tonight. Total off. I dread to even look at that, so I'm not going to. What I can tell you is Love had approximately 8 sacks tonight. 2 interceptions that I recall. Maybe there was a third, but at least 2 interceptions tonight, 8 sacks. Passes that went that were thrown behind, backward passes for losses. Overthrown balls like you could not even imagine. Like you wouldn't even, it's befuddling to miss somebody as much as Love misses his receivers. Now I know BC, it's so young though, man. It's week 4. It's gonna take a lot of time for this kid. Maybe a year, 2, 3 more years. Give it time. No. I can deal with losses. I can deal with just piss poor performances from time to time. But what we're seeing out of Love, that needs to be fixed yesterday, last month, last season, right? Week 1 or last season. Last season, all of those cobwebs, shake them off. You're under Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, man. You can't come out looking like that. At least not in the NFL. Maybe if you're in the XFL. The USFL. College? To watch an NFL quarterback do what Love did tonight. By the time you view this review, listen to this podcast, listen to this review last night, we are recording this right after the game. So you're getting raw emotion right now for sure, but because of travel, a lot of travel that has to be done over the next couple of days. This is the only time I can record this. Otherwise, I would have loved to have slept on this. Cooler heads prevail. But no, you're getting raw emotion from this Packer fan. It's unacceptable. To watch a quarterback in the NFL do that and then to know, oh yeah, wait, that's our quarterback. I'm not saying he can't or won't get better. We're hoping so. That's our only option. He better get better. But that's, I can't recall a quarterback playing like that. And that's all year so far. I mean, did you guys see the victory last week? I mean, we only had 1 good quarter, and let's not act like their quarterback did not get injured in quarter 3, which set up our quarter 4, euphoria quarter, the one where we came back. Let's not act like that didn't happen. But did you guys see the completion to attempts ratio? It was like 20-something to 40-something. That's not good. Love has shown that he can be something very good in this league. Someone very good, a good quarterback. He's shown that at times. The problem is, the majority of the time, he's showing you why he cannot become a good quarterback. That's not good. And I'm not even just pinning it on him, by the way. The entire team does not know how to pick one another up. When one area fails, the entire team collapses. And then we just show spurts of being good. A quarter here. A drive here. A drive over here. The rest of the time, we're collapsing. The problem is we're 4 weeks in. So if you take a full quarter here, like last week, 4th quarter. You take a drive here and a drive here, like last night. Couple of drives in week 2 in that loss against Atlanta. We had a couple of good drives, right? We had 4 good drives in week 1. Okay, put all that together. Is that 1 complete game? We've had 4 complete games so far. Do the math. Not good. Not good. It seems like I'm being very harsh. Well, now's the time to do it. Correct this now, man. You cannot have a performance like that going forward. And again, as we said in the cold open, this is 3 weeks in a row, guys. You go back to the Atlanta game, we completely collapsed in the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened. I still don't. Here we are a few weeks later. I don't know what happened in that fourth quarter. It was a complete team collapse. You talk about unacceptable. And then you go into the very next game last week. After the fourth quarter collapse, the whole first 3 quarters of that game, we never showed up to play football. The only way we were allowed to come back and win that game is because our opposing quarterback got injured and left the game. All of a sudden, we come to life. Otherwise, don't be shocked if that was a complete game failure. So the whole fourth quarter of 2 weeks ago, last week, almost a full game of a failure and a collapse, and then this week, last night or tonight, whenever this goes up and you listen to it, this game against the Lions, the whole first half, literally no signs of life, no pulse. We didn't show up. And then a couple of drives in the second half to make people go, ooh, hey, maybe? And no. Immediately you're brought right back down, crashing down to the reality that this Packers team, man, you talk about not having an identity, not knowing who they are, what they are. They better find out quick because there's a lot of season left. You can be something special. You can fight. You can whoop ass. You could be somebody, a team that everybody else is going to fear and not want to play, or you're going to be the layup. You're going to be the one on everyone's schedule where they go, oh, Green Bay, nice. Take a week off. It's like a bye week. Man, if you're a player, a suit and tie, management, a fan, anybody that sports these G's, I hope we're not going to be that kind of a team this season. Pull it together, man. I didn't even see the toughness this week. Right? At least I saw that. Even when we were collapsing, there was just these signs of toughness, right? I didn't even see that in this game. Detroit just whooped that ass. That's the review I got for you. My name's BC Amplified. I appreciate it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you were a Green Bay Packer fan, I feel you, man. Hopefully you understand my frustrations. You know, we love the team. We're going to continue to roar in victory and rage in our losses. That's what a fan does. Let the team know, you know. Hey, you're doing great. Yeah. Get 'em, boy. And when they're not, you let them know. That's what fans do. So I'm glad listen, when they went off the field in that first half and we were booing, justified. That's what a fan is supposed to do. That's unacceptable football. Unacceptable football. I don't care if you're a Lions 0-16 team from years past. You do not play football like that. You just don't. Who else is going to let you know about it than your own people? Right? Your family has to tell you this is unacceptable. Otherwise, we're just enabling it. This was a hard one. But so far, the season has not been easy, man. All of these games have been hard to watch in one way or the other, with the exclusion of course, maybe week 1. Other than that, this is just not Packer football. We'll leave it at that, man. I can go another hour or two, but it's late. So we'll see. We'll go into, obviously, we got this weekend off. We'll see. I think the next game is Monday Night Football, I believe, right? Maybe we go into Monday Night Football, another primetime show where I hope we don't stink it up, man. Oh, man. That's another thing, right? All the eyeballs. It's Thursday Night Football. You know, you really want to present this G on the grandest of stage in the best of ways, and here we are. Talk radio, all the podcasts, everybody's going to be talking about how Green Bay is exactly what they thought they were going to be. Here we go, right? How bad Green Bay is. Here we go, man. And we can't even, what sucks is that we can't even argue their points more than likely. because it's going to be pretty valid. There's nothing you can counter them with. This team is showing us nothing. Defense at times shows signs of life. That's at times. I guess that's a starting point. Anyway, guys, we'll be right back doing this again after Week 5's matchup. Again, I believe that's Monday Night Football, but the right after the game, make sure you stop by the channel, and hopefully it'll be a much more positive review for the Packers in Week 5. Until next time, there will be that next time. BC saying check you. Peace.